Hello everybody! I am back with another video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Ria. I typically vlog about gaming. Sometimes I do shoot day in the life kind of vlogs or like vlog updates just to talk about what's been going on in my life. Recently, I've been gaming a lot. I wanted to talk to you about my experiences with Hello Kitty Island Adventure. If you're not aware, Hello Kitty Island Adventure is already available on a number of platforms, and as of this video coming out, I actually have no idea when it's coming for the PS5. Initially, I wanted to get it for the PlayStation 5, as apparently it was confirmed it would be dropping on this console, but it hasn't yet, so I ended up playing it on PC via Steam, and I wanted to talk to you about the 5 things I have learned while playing Hello Kitty Island Adventures. If you happen to be playing this game when it comes out on PlayStation 5, or if you just haven't gotten around to it and are wanting some tips and tricks ahead of diving into it, then stick around, this video is for you. The first point is explore everywhere as much as you can. And if you're not aware of how the game works, essentially think of like Animal Crossing. You move to an island with a bunch of your Sanrio friends, and you need to be able to develop while you're living on that island, running around the island, and essentially trying to get it up to a certain point where you can fully enjoy it. You'll need to learn how to build things, how to craft things, how to bake things. There are a lot of different ways that you can utilize the resources to advance your leveling in the game and what you have access to. One of the first mistakes I made was not exploring everything. And when I say everything, I mean explore everything. And this video does come with some spoilers, some mild spoilers, but I need to be able to talk about it to explain why you need to do certain things to get the most out of this game. As you open up the different parts of the island, you're going to find some of these really cool and interesting places, and one of my favorite places to go is the nature reserve. Now, the nature reserve is for when you catch bugs and creatures that are mostly on land. There are some sea-abiding creatures, but most of them, I would say, are typically in real life considered land critters. When you go to the nature reserve, you'll need at one point to open up the different parts of the nature reserve. Couple of things here. Make sure you explore every section of the nature reserve that you open up, because sometimes there are chests lurking, sometimes there are things that you need to advance opening up different parts of the island that you can't do without finding those things. There are also a lot of challenges that come up in your quest logs that you would need to fulfill by literally exploring every inch of the island, especially if there are resources that are part of a quest. One of the situations I had run into was this quest that had obsidian shards that you needed to collect, and I think there were about 60 that you needed to collect. Resources are finite each day, which is why you may see things about time travel, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Trying to pick up a bunch of the same item and having like 50 or 60 of them can be really tricky, and sometimes it might take you a couple days depending on how many of those resources are available. So that's why it's so important to explore every single corner, every nook and cranny, so that you can get through those challenges faster and have access to more of the fun and exciting adventures this game has to offer. My next suggestion is to talk to everybody, and don't be afraid to use the button that gives you clues for gifts. For me, playing on Steam, I use an Xbox controller, so I'm going to refer to A, B, X, Y buttons a lot in this video. To talk to the different characters, I actually use the A button. The gifting button on my controller is the Y button. Oftentimes, at first, I would just start off by trying to give the friendship levels a boost, and the friendship levels are really imperative, again, to advancing what you can access in the game. I would spam the Y button to give my daily 3 gifts each day, and I would completely forego having any kind of conversations with them by using the A button. So if you press the A button, you'll notice that you have options to ask about certain things. So one great example is Kuromi is a great character to ask about multiplayer if you are interested in utilizing the multiplayer option. Not only can you learn about multiplayer, but pretty much every single character Navigator, if you're navigating through that A button menu, will tell you about the different gifts that certain characters like. There are some characters that eventually, about, I want to say halfway through the game, or a little bit past halfway through the game, depending on how you're playing it, you'll unlock some secret characters that you can give gifts to. By talking to some of the other characters, you can figure out what some of those secret characters like. You can do the same thing generally for all your friends when you start off. So it is very much worth your time to talk to them and to remind yourself, okay, this character likes gifts like this. The better the gifts are, the better your chances of increasing your friendship level and again unlocking way more things. This is actually like a twofold bit of advice. Pick up all your resources and don't use them all at once. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. One of the big mistakes I made starting off playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure is I wouldn't pick up everything, and again didn't realize that the resources were finite. But even more importantly, because I was so into crafting in Animal Crossing New Horizons, the second I got a bunch of stuff, I would start crafting. Do not do that. You want to make sure, unless you've hoarded a whole bunch of resources, that you have enough to be able to complete certain quests. And one really good example of this is a quest that is tied to your ability to be able to dive into the water. There was a resource that was involved in that quest that you only get 7 or 8 of a day. Won't spoil it for you, but it's really frustrating when you've used a resource and basically made or crafted a bunch of different items that you can't uncraft. Just wait to see what you need to craft, and if you feel like there is something, especially early on in the game, that you do really need to craft, then by all means do it. In the case of trying to learn how to swim, I had to wait a couple of days because I had poured all of my resources for the one item that I really needed to be able to dive underwater, and I had used it for gifting for another character, in particular Batsmaru. So if you've played Hello Kitty Island Adventure, you might be able to guess what it is. If you know what it is, drop it in the comments, because I had to wait 3 days before I could actually get the piece of gear that I needed to use for crafting to be able to fully dive underwater. Also in tandem with this, my next piece of advice is do not spend all your crates at once. In the game, you actually have the opportunity to pick up something called a strawberry crate, and the strawberry crate allows you to unlock cabins all across the different parts of Friendship Island. I made the mistake of just sporadically spending them everywhere, and what I didn't realize until I actually looked at the number of crates I was using was the further you get in the game and the more you unlock, the higher the number of crates that are required. Now, there is a really good sort of hack or trick around this, and that's why it's really important to make friends with your characters, because one of the characters actually allows you to spend fewer crates on opening up a cabin to welcome your visitors to the island, who will also give you gifts, versus walking around with any of the other characters. Just make sure that if you're getting strawberry crates, that you spend them on the cabins that you want to open. Once you've opened the cabins, you cannot undo that. There ends up being a part of the island that you really enjoy and you're short a crate. It can be really, really irritating to have to wait for new strawberry crates to populate. And my final tip for folks, check your Sunblink mail. There are so many little things that you can pick up in your Sunblink mail that really help you out during the game, because they can really, again, help you go very, very far with the stuff that you unlock, and it makes it a lot easier versus having to wait. I was not checking my Sunblink mail at the beginning of the game, and ultimately I did get all the items that were gifted to me through my Sunblink mail. I was like, man, I've been sitting on this for so long and I didn't realize I had these items that I could have already used. I could have already had, and I didn't have to go looking around the island for more resources. Make sure you check your Sunblink mail, because they'll sometimes gift you things that are really, really great to have, like strawberry crates, that can really make a difference in your gaming experience. Before I go, one other thing I want to touch on is time traveling. Now, this is one of the few games that I have personally played where they actually give you a warning at the beginning of the game, talking to you about, you know, the ramifications of time traveling. They also talk about how if you're essentially caught time traveling, they will take away your multiplayer capabilities. Now, if you don't know what time traveling is, it's basically changing your computer's clock or your console's clock so that it reflects a time and date in the future or a time or date in the past. I do not believe in time traveling. I really like to enjoy my game for as long as I can, but I know that there are people out there who prefer to time travel to obtain what they want to obtain, and sometimes it is such a slow burn to have to wait for items to pop up the next day, especially if you're so into a game and you're just really enjoying the pace of finding so many things and knocking off so many challenges all in one go. I totally understand that. I do believe by doing some of the other things, like making sure that you're finding resources every single day and looking for those and gathering those, I think that's what makes the game a lot more fun. I have time traveled in other games like Animal Crossing, and you don't get dinged. One other thing that is kind of related to the whole time traveling thing, even though it's not actually time traveling, is changing the time in the game. And I think this is where some people get confused. You can actually get a bed and you can sleep in your bed and you can change the time of day in the game. Not changing the console's time or not changing your computer's time, but rather changing the time that is actually happening in the game. And that's actually really important for some of the quests that you will go on. Access to mini games, for instance, in the game where I had to run around and catch certain things at night or only during the day. You'll want to definitely build yourself a space in a cabin, and you'll definitely want to get yourself a bed so that when you go up to the bed and interact with it, you can change the time of day, and that takes care of that problem. Anyways, I want to know if you've played Hello Kitty Island Adventure and if you have any tips or tricks for me that I should be aware of. I am still going through the game. Yes, I've dumped in 40 hours, but I know that I will be spending a lot more time in there. I've had so much fun and I cannot recommend the game enough, especially if you're looking for something super chill, super cozy, and just something really cute to pass the time. So I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. There are some little glitches and bugs with it, but there are some workarounds. Again, I'm not going to say what they are, and I'm sure that you'll be able to find them if you need them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!